Alright YouTube, check this out. I'm going to go over the updated Utopia deck profile. I'll talk about the changes we made to the deck, some other interactions with two of the most common decks, and some other cards that have the potential to be good in the deck. We added 2 more cards to the deck, making it a total of 44, so that we decrease our chances of drawing our bricks, because we really don't want to see them. Opening with one of our bricks is worse than starting with one less card in your hand. So to start off, we have 2 Astro Kuribo. We still play it at 2, because we still play Cook, and even if we don't summon Cook, it gives our other number of cards some protection. It is also an extender to help us go from full combo to beyond the full combo. Next we play 3 Max C. No explanation needed, it's like the best card in the game. Next, we only play 2 Ash Blossom. We only play 2 because it can be chain blocked in Sword Soul easily, and it can't stop Verte. And these are 2 of the most common cards used right now. A new card we have is a Photon Thrasher. This card can special summon itself if we have no other monsters. So it's not even a bad card to draw. It can help us summon Utopia, and it is searchable, and it gives one of our new cards some protection. Next, we have another new card, Go Gigas. I took out 1 Dwarf for this card, so that we can use both Dwarf and Gigas in the same turn. Because before, if we have 2 Dwarf, then you can only summon 1 from the graveyard. For the full combo, if we don't have Dwarf, but we have Gigas, Utopic Onomatopoeia, and Zuba Bancho, then it is still possible to go full combo. However, if we can add any of these cards to our hand, then the 3 we want to have is a Dwarf, Utopic Onomatopoeia, and Bancho. You want to keep Gigas in the deck because later on you can normal summon Gigas and special Dwarf from the grave. Because before, if we drew Dwarf, then we can't summon the other Dwarf from the graveyard because Dwarf says you have to control a monster that isn't Dwarf to summon it. As I said it before, we still run 3 Onomatopoeia because it can summon any of the other archetypes from the hand. And we still run 3 Zuba Bancho Gaga Coat. These 2 are like the better ones of the archetype, which is why we still run at 3. And as I said before, Dwarf says you have to control a Go-Go or Dodo that isn't Dwarf. And you can only use the graveyard effect once per turn, so we can't summon 2 Dwarf from the grave. Next, we still run 3 Ascended Sage. It's really important to the deck. It adds the Mega Metric card, and even though you can't special summon both Thrasher and Sage, because they both say they control no monsters to summon them, that's okay because you can still special summon Thrasher and normal summon Sage and still go for Utopia while still adding the Mega Metric card. We did bump Utopia down to 1 because to make room for the Thrasher, and that's fine because Utopia is still searchable. You don't want to open with it because if you don't have a way of summoning an Xyz monster, then you can't summon this card either. It's still really good. Lets you add like 4 different kinds of cards to your hand. Next, we have 1 Pegasus Twin Saber. It's very important to the deck. It can negate a monster effect from the field, and it doesn't start a chain. So that means that you can use Pegasus to negate an Access Code Talker or Bulbasaur Dragon, even though both of them say you can't respond to their effects. Next, we started running 2 Nibiru. It's really good at stopping our opponents from just going off. And even if it just trades for 1 negate, that's okay because that means we have 1 less negate to worry about during our turn. If it's like a Baron, which can only be used once. Giving your opponent a token is risky because if they have like a Link Spider in their extra deck, then they can use a Link Spider, summon Link Spider with the token, and summon another effect monster, and then they can just go into Verte. And because every deck plays Verte and DPE right now. Next, we have Rhoda. Yeah, it's really good. Adds any warrior from the deck to the hand. Next, we play 3 Onomatopoeia. It's very essential to make the full combo consistent. Also, if we go first, then we can get rid of any of the other hand traps that are not useful going first to add cards that are good going first, which is why we definitely must play it at 3. Next, we play 2 Pot of Prosperity. I did mention before that I just wanted to add the card to the deck, It makes the deck much more consistent. It can change a bad hand into a strong hand. We do lose the ability to go full combo, but if we had a bad hand, then we're not going full combo anyway. Most people say you can't play it, that you need every extra card, but you can play it and you can banish 6 cards. If you have a good hand and you don't need this card, then you can just discard it with one of your for one of your automatic spells. I'll go over later which 6 cards you can banish turn 1 to play this card. Next we have one Hyper Ring of Magic Utopia Force. We only play one because we want to add it, not draw it, because running multiple means that we have a higher chance of opening with it, and if we open with it, that means we're less likely to have cards in our hand that can actually help us summon Utopia. Next we have one Exchange Tactics. Just like the Ring Magic, it's searchable, and it doesn't help us summon Utopia, but it does give us follow-up for our next turn. It could potentially give us our Omni Negate, and it can give us hand traps to make it harder for our opponent to play. Next we play 3 on a pickup. Just like Para, it's essential for making the full combo more consistent, which is why it's a must-have at 3. Double or Nothing. I really don't want to play this, but you have to. It's a brick. And, opening with it is really bad, but this does help you close games. Next we have 1 Call by the Grave. We put it down to 1 because it can't stop any of the big hand traps like Nibiru, which is a big problem for the deck. And now instead we're playing 3 Crossout. Crossout, negates other cards that called by can't, such as Nibiru or like Infinite Impermanence. Crossout can also negate Maxi and Ash Blossom, just like a call by can. So having 3 more Crossout makes up for taking out 1 called by. Next we have 3 Imperm. We use this just to stop some of the biggest threats like Verte and Gossip Shadow. We stop Gossip Shadow from giving Rongomydiad 5 materials, and we stop Verte from summoning TPE. Both of those cards are not easy to get rid of. Next we have 2 Numbers Protection. It's really good. It's an Omni Negate, so it gives us a protection from cards like Dark Blue No More or Forbidden Droplet if they don't get rid of a trap card. So definitely won't use it for cost. And since we run 2, we have a higher chance of drawing into it with our Exchange Tactics. The extra deck is mostly the same. The only difference is that we added 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. I decided to add this card to the deck because it can negate a monster effect from anywhere, including the hand or the graveyard. Before our Leo Utopia Ray can only negate monster effects on the field, and Pegasus can also only negate monster effects on the field. So this is the reason why we started playing Thrasher, so that it can give it an extra material, because this card can either take a Photon or Galaxy card and either attach it as material or add it to our hand. But I'll go over the other cards again. So we play 1 Utopic Future. We just use it to go into Utopic Draco Future. This can also negate a monster effect from anywhere. We play 2 Utopia. We'll need 1 to use for full combo and 1 to OTK for games. But I don't think you need 3 because that's too cloggy. We play Utopia Prime. This is just for an extra Xyz material. We play this instead of Utopia Ray because you're more likely to use this card's effects and then Ray's effects. As I said before, we still play Cook. It's very good for slowing out your opponent. If we drew a bad hand, then we can just summon Cook and just wait to draw into our full combo afterwards. Or if not, we can just summon Zeus with it and attempt to wipe out our opponent's boards. We still play Baguska. This is actually not a bad card to rely on. If your opponent max sees you, then you don't want to go full combo because your opponent will draw a million cards. They'll probably draw into an Ibiru just to attribute all our cards. So you can just summon Baguska during the max C, and you can switch all your opponent's monsters into defense mode, and they can't activate any of their monster effects in defense mode. So it's not a bad card. We play the 1 2 double. This is why we play double or nothing. This card is enough to go for game. Please don't use it for as a combo piece. Please save it for the end to finish the game, because this is how you finish the games. We play the Prime Math Mech. This card can add Astrotopia from deck to your hand. So this is why we'll see Astrotopia every time, even though it's only at 1. It's a non-number card, so we use this card to go into Utopic Future and Utopic Sage. This card summons Sage, Ascended Sage from your deck, which makes it very consistent. And it also protects our Utopias from being destroyed by Battle of Card Effects once by banishing it. Utopia Ray is really good. Negates a monster effect on the field, and it has its attack. However, since it has to negate the monster effect, you can't have the attack of like a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a monster without an effect, basically. You still play a whole Primary Dragon, Titanic Galaxy. This card's really good. It has 3 effects. It negates a spell card. It redirects attacks, and it helps any monster gain attack. So yeah, a lot of people don't really know about the other 2 effects. So this card's like really good. And going over the new card again, when it has Thrasher as material, it can't be destroyed by card effects, so it gives it extra protection. And of course, you play 1 Zeus because this is an Xyz deck. And one of the most important cards is Utopia Dragonor. It summons any number card from your extra deck between 1 and 100. So we use this to summon like Leo and Hope Harbinger, so we have like 3 negates just with those 2 alone. And so that's pretty much it for the deck. Now I'm going to go over other cards that have some potential. The first is number 4, Stealth Kraken. We used to play this card, but I took it out for Photon Lord because I valued the extra negate over the interruption. However, I can see arguments for both. It does inflict burn damage, which can be helpful sometimes, but Photon Lord has higher stats, so I think it's better for now. Next, we have Monster Reborn. This card can be used as an extender to bring back 1 level 4 monster, but also you can use it to bring back a monster from your opponent's graveyard, like a boss monster like DPE or a Baron, for example, that we can use for ourselves. And even if we bring back a monster that's not level 4, we can use the second effect of Armada Pickup to change the level of that monster to 4. Another card I think might be good is a Galaxy Cyclone. I'm actually trying to test this card in the TCG, but I'll read to you what it does. It's a searchable MST, basically, with Photon Lord. Because this card can target a set spell or trap on the field and destroy it. And then has another effect in the graveyard where you can banish it to destroy a face-up spell and trap on the field. So each copy can potentially destroy 2 back row, 1 face up and 1 face down. Yes, it's not a quick effect, but even if they chain their cards, they still get destroyed. This card is a Galaxy card, which is why I said it was searchable, because this card can add a Galaxy card from your deck to your hand, or it can attach it as material. So I think having searchable back row destruction is good, which is why I think this card has potential. As I said, I'm still trying to test it in the TCG, because I wouldn't main deck it, I would side deck it. So I'm not sure how it would do in this game just yet. Next we have Dark Ruler No More. This card can be good and not good. Like against a Sword Soul deck, yes, you can negate cards like Baron or the Grandmaster, but it won't solve everything because it won't negate like the face down trap card of Blackout. On the other hand, if you're facing Despia and they summon 2 Masquerades, then this card is a must, because you must play it, because otherwise if you don't, you'll be paying 1200 life points for every card effect, and this deck activates a lot of card effects. Up next, we have Zexal Field. It's another card that I think has the potential to be really good. This card can protect your cards and effects in the same way that Magical Meltdown can. Uh, when you activate a card to affect the targets and excuse monster you control, your opponent can't respond to it. Same thing with a Magical Meltdown. And also, if it's used a certain way, this card could actually play through Nibiru without the need of crossout. I'll make another video on explaining how to do that later on. Next, we have a Gozen match. I put Gozen as an example, but this deck can play multiple floodgates. And this deck can even add the floodgates from your deck to your hand. With, which one is it? The Prime Math Mech. Oh, not this one. With the Prime Math Mech. Because if you summon this with 4 XC material, this card lets you add any spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So this deck can add any floodgate from your deck to your hand. And even if you don't want to do that, if you play Exchange Chain Tactics and you run multiple floodgates, then you have a good chance of drawing at least one of them. But that's more effective if you know you're going first. So it's better in the TCG when you can side out most of your hand traps and side in most of your floodgates for like the game 2 or the game 3. Next we have Numbers Wall. I did try to test this out because number protection can only be used once per turn. So in certain situations, if I have both traps, I could chain Wall to something like a Lightning Storm. So I can use Wall for Lightning Storm, and then I still have my Omni Negate for something else. However, there were times when I only had Numbers Wall, and I found myself thinking a lot, oh, I wish I had Protection instead. And finally, we have a Token Collector. This card is definitely sided in the TCG, so I don't know about main decking it here. However, this card is a level 4 monster that can special summon itself. And it can be searched with the Prime Math Mech, so you can search out any level 4 monster. Not only that, you can discard Token Collector like an automat spell in case you drew it, and you can activate from the graveyard as well. I'm always working on making the deck better. That's pretty much it for the deck profile. I'd love to hear your opinions about the deck. Why do you think a different ratio would be better? What tech cards do you play? I'm still only focused on playing Utopia decks, but that doesn't mean I don't know what other decks do. Leave any comments down below. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.